Solo travel. There are people who think it's lonely, scary, or even boring. Some of these concerns, I completely get it. Others, not so much, because they are completely missing the point. Solo traveling is more than just a trip. It's a journey of self-discovery, reflection, and even healing. When you solo travel, you are doing this for no one but yourself. When I embarked on my first solo trip to Japan 2 years ago, I had zero expectations and didn't know it would have such a huge impact on my life. In this video, I'm gonna share 3 ways solo travel changed me as a person. From my mindset to the decisions I make. There is never a better time to solo travel because you are now the youngest you'll ever be with the most energy you'll ever have. So I hope this video encourages you to take that step. For my first solo trip, the first biggest change that I experienced is learning how to own my decisions. When you solo travel, you make every decision by yourself. I was on my own and there was no one to ask, is this the right decision? Am I making the best choice? This forced me to really confront my insecurities and recognize my habit of doubting myself. Not owning your decisions makes you a slave to other people's opinions. Worst of all, you develop an intense fear of making mistakes. That's why planning and going on a solo trip was super liberating for me because I was doing this all by myself and making decisions on my own with no one holding me back. I also normalized making mistakes and learning from them. And this is how I truly began to own my choices. Because even though the trip wasn't 100% perfect, I realized I could still accomplish anything I wanted. I am able to think for myself and not let other people's opinions hold me back. So this was a much needed experience for my growth. Solo travel also revealed how I perceived my environment and the people around me. So the second biggest change is being able to reframe my reality. Your sense of reality is heavily influenced by your environment, and it can feel like a prison, especially if you're not in a good place. That was how I felt. My solo trip was like a reset button, stepping into a completely different place where everything is different. For some reason, I didn't feel the social anxiety I felt back home and felt like the social rules that I made for myself didn't matter anymore. How many of you can relate to this when you go to a different country? Let me know in the comments. I think when you are in the same environment for a long time, there is a tendency to forget your blessings and focus more on the negatives. I was thinking about how as a tourist, Japan feels like a wonderland. But it's not the same feeling when you actually live there. I can imagine moving to Japan, getting used to it, and then start feeling upset about all the negative aspects of living there. So it's not just about where you live, but also how you frame your thoughts, which affects how you perceive reality. I'm just super grateful that I solo traveled and took a break from my environment, because being in a new environment gave me a better chance to self-reflect and to acknowledge the negative thoughts that kept me upset, fearful, and even hopeless. In short, solo travel was like a mental detox and also a reminder to seek out new perspectives, because I may not be able to change my environment, but I can change how I react to it so that I can create a reality that serves my best interest. You might ask, what are the steps to creating a reality that empowers me? And I need to be honest, what you need to do isn't so glamorous. It's also the third change I had to go through. Being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Imagine this, you spent months planning your trip and getting excited about all the things you want to do, but when you're actually there, you don't feel as energetic or spontaneous, and you feel like backing out from your plans. That was what happened to me. Halfway through the trip, I was mentally exhausted and thought maybe I should just take it easy, just eat, shop, and call it a day. One of the things in my itinerary was cycling the Shimanami Kaido at Onomichi. It sounded amazing when I was planning it, but on the night before my day trip, I just didn't feel like going. But I also knew if I didn't go, I would regret it because this was such a rare opportunity. So I pulled myself together and made a final decision. I wasn't gonna let how I felt control what I did. So I ignored my negative thoughts and just went for it. So the very next day, I arrived at the port at Onomichi, rented a bicycle, took the ferry to the islands, and by the time I started cycling there, all the resistance I had towards this plan completely vanished. Instead of feeling uncomfortable, it was just pure excitement. and I was so proud of myself for making it. The experience only got better from there. The cycling route was amazing, the views were amazing. Also, there was a small orange farm along the way. I had so much fun squeezing orange juice, eating sweets, and meeting very nice people. Meeting new people is what I love so much about solo traveling. At the farm, there was a Japanese couple that approached me and they were so friendly. It was very surprising because most Japanese people come across as very shy. I really loved our interactions. We talked about our different cultures, music, film, their favorite places in Japan. I was using some Japanese, they were using some English. It was such a wholesome experience. Imagine if I had given in to my feelings and didn't show up. I would have missed all those amazing memories just because I didn't feel like it. That was the moment I realized being comfortable with being uncomfortable is what makes the most memorable experiences possible. Not just for travel, but also different aspects of your life. I didn't know solo traveling would teach me so much about myself and reveal so many life lessons I needed. So if you are thinking about solo traveling, just do it. I would say Japan is one of the best countries to solo travel. And I have videos talking about good reasons to solo travel there, and also mistakes I made when planning my trip. You might want to check these out and consider solo traveling to Japan. I will be uploading my Japan vlogs very soon, so stick around.